I'm a Hamilton. I'm a junior here at Keene State. I am a journalism major with a focus in news media, and I'm from Concord, New Hampshire. So in high school, I was really lost on what I was going to come to college for, and my parents were both kind of set on if I was going to go to a four-year institution that I needed to know what I wanted to do, because it's a lot of money to come to college, and I could have just gone to a community college. So one of my good friends, her dad one day was like, you're a great public speaker. Have you ever thought about maybe you should anchor the news, or you should something to do with broadcast? And I was like, you know what, yeah, okay, that'd be a good idea. And so I was class president in my high school. I had to speak for graduation and everything. I was like, I can do this. I can do it in front of a camera. So I came to Keene and I started getting into the journalism classes, and I'm not a print person at all, but I love being in front of the camera and working in the studio, and so I think I've really found my passion. What's most important about journalism is making sure that you're telling the truth. The media gets a lot of backlash saying that we're lying. In the recent election, there was a lot of controversy about the lying press, and we're just there to report the story. We're not here to sugarcoat anything, and we're also not here to be biased, and so making sure that you're reporting the truth is definitely the most important thing about journalism. Super exciting being a part of the e-board now for the Equinox. I actually have interviewed twice before, so third time's a charm. It was definitely meant to be this third time around, though, and after training these past couple of weeks and coming into the next semester, I've realized that I have a lot on my plate. I'm the student life editor, which is the biggest section of the Equinox, and it's going to be a big responsibility and definitely a learning curve, but it's one that I'm ready to overcome and achieve. One of my biggest fears about being a journalist is people getting really upset and really mad at me, because if I ask a question that kind of ticks them off, or I'm reporting on something that they don't really want to talk about, people get really angry, and just that backlash I think is going to be difficult for me, because I need to have a little bit of a thicker skin on me, but I think that the thick skin will come with time and being in the field. I plan to news anchor. I love taking the TV classes here at Keene. I'm doing the advanced TV next semester, which will be more of an insight to what I really want to do. I've applied for internships over the summer down in Tampa, Florida at Fox News and WFLA, which is one of the local stations, kind of like WMUR here. So I'm really passionate about it, and I think I do well on camera. I take a lot of feedback from Dr. Chad and I, which is really, really helpful, and so I plan to anchor with my future, hopefully.
Totally.
My best journalism piece. Well, recently I've been in feature writing with Marianne Salcetti this past semester, and it has been such a struggle for me. The print writing whole deal is a struggle for me within itself, but I think that it's important to be well-rounded, so I took a print class that was more difficult at an upper level, and I've probably learned the most in journalism in that class. And I wrote a story about homeless students attending college, and I did so many drafts, and it was really exciting, and then at the end I was going to get it published because I really wanted it to be up for an award for next year, and unfortunately my sources didn't want to be named, and you couldn't really take out their names without having their title to make the story significant. So I was really upset about that, but I'm probably most proud of that because finally Marianne looked at me and said, "This is wonderful," and that's probably the best thing she can say to you. And so that I'm really, really proud of. And then I'm hoping that next semester with the upper level TV classes that I have more to be proud of doing the community TV.
My name's Grace Pecci. I'm from Holliston, Massachusetts, and I'm a junior at Keene State. Okay. What got me into journalism? I've always had an interest in journalism. When I was in high school, I worked on the school newspaper, and I was an art and entertainment editor. And I always wanted to join the Equinox here, but I usually work on Monday nights, so it's been difficult. But I really enjoy writing and doing all kinds of news stuff. I think the most important factor of journalism is being credible and making sure that you don't go too far with things, and making sure that another part of it is being truthful and just making sure that you have all the facts straight is pretty much the big thing, and just kind of like owning up if you ever make a mistake, because I know like with the equinox, if they've ever made mistakes, they've always published in the next article like apologizing for anything. So I'm really excited to be a new editor for the equinox. I just started doing work last weekend, and basically a week ago I started working for the equinox, and what I did was I came in and I basically shadowed one of the other copy editors, and then I went that next weekend, which was this past weekend, I ended up we do work over Google Docs. So we basically, people share stories with us, and then we have a little spreadsheet that we mark off which stories we've edited. So I just started making edits based on what I learned a couple days before, and then I just kind of went with it and went off of what other copy editors did. Okay. My biggest fear about being a journalist is just being in a position that you have to cover like a really hard story or an uncomfortable, like heartbreaking kind of story, and just how sometimes I know that people might get annoyed with journalists for being too nosy, and like the fact that you have to kind of put yourself out there is definitely like the most intimidating part. In the future for journalism, I definitely want to either work as an editor, which is awesome because I'm so glad that I have the position for this, or I'd like to work with broadcast journalism as well. I'm still trying to figure out exactly which way I want to go, but the classes here are helping me try to piece it together. I haven't written any news articles for the equinox yet, but in high school I used to write articles, and one of the best articles that I wrote was about the hockey team that our school had, because they had just started a women's hockey team. And so one of my best friends has been playing hockey all her life, so I kind of shadowed her, and it made the article really well because you got to see like how the difference between a girl playing on a guy's team versus a girl playing on like a girl's team.
My name is Alexandria Sowerman. I am a journalism major, and I am from Philadelphia. And I'm a freshman. Back in 11th grade, I switched schools, and I had the option to take a journalism class, and I had liked writing. So my mom was actually like, oh, hey, you should take a journalism class since you're such a good writer. And I was like, okay, Mom, if you say so. So I went ahead and I took the class, and I actually wrote the first article for the football team, which was very exciting. So after that, they asked me to be section editor, and that's kind of when I fell in love. Like, I always knew I loved writing, but then, like, I realized there's more than just writing for a newspaper. So then I was like, oh, maybe we should do this, like, full-time. In my opinion, the most important thing about journalism is keeping the news non-biased. In this society, everybody has their own opinion, and no matter what, they try to share it, and it's very obnoxious when you go to read a news article and it's swinging left or swinging right. I want to hear the news, and I want to hear it without your bias so I can form my own opinion. So I think it's really essential to keep the news completely unbiased, and that's one of my goals. I'm very excited to be a new editor on the Equinox. It's a great opportunity. I'm excited to work with a really good group of people. We clicked like immediately, which is really nice. I'm the only freshman, but I feel like that definitely doesn't hinder me. I'm more mature, and I feel like I have more of an older soul per se, so I get along well with an older crowd than I do a younger crowd. So I feel like that definitely helps. One of my biggest fears about being the new editor is making a big mistake. But for me, big is not big, big is small. So if I misspell something in a headline, that would be the death of me. It's the little nitpicky things that I'm terrified about. And then, of course, like messing up and doing a horrible section. But I'm more worried about the tiny little things that no one notices but me. So originally, I wanted to be a traveling journalist. I wanted to be that reporter that you see in a different country every day, because I feel like that'd be really cool. I enjoy traveling, and it gives me more independence, which is nice. However, to do that, I figured I would have to double major in journalism and anthropology. I don't want to be an anthropology major, so that idea's out the window. In the future, I aspire to be a non-biased journalist. That's really hard to do. And I hope that I find a company, whether it's CNN or the Keene Sentinel. I want to be an active member of a journalist community. I want to go out and I want to find stories, and I want to help other people too. That's a big thing. I really am aspiring to be I guess an editor. So, I have 2 pieces that I'm really proud of, both of which involve interviewing rappers, as weird as that sounds. So back in high school, it was my final piece for the newspaper. I actually got a hold of Lil Dicky, who is who is a big rapper. He graduated from my high school. So I got in contact with his agent, and I went through and I did a phone interview with him, and I did an article on it. Although it's not my favorite article, I would definitely say that the work I put into it was a lot. It's a crap ton of work, and I don't think I've put in that much work for a lot of articles. And to be able to say, oh, I interviewed Lil Dicky, who's like gone to the Grammys, performed with other rappers, is like a big deal. And in addition to that, my favorite piece that I just recently wrote, it came out last week actually, was on Alex Suarez. So he graduated from here last year, and he's an up-and-coming professional rapper. He and I went downtown, we talked, and then we did an interview, and it was great. He's a fantastic guy. It's one of the articles I've spent most of my time on. I went through and edited it multiple times, so I made sure it was perfect. What makes a good piece of work, in my opinion, is the amount of effort you put into it. And for that, those 2 are my favorite because I've put so much effort into it.